The battle towards the governorship election in Edo State has begun in earnest, and the political atmosphere in the state is gathering momentum. This is as the Independent National Electoral Commission has released its timetable for the exercise, paving the way for would-be aspirants. The battle for the state's #1 seat is going to be a three-horse race among the major political parties, the ruling People's Democratic Party, the opposition All Progressives Congress, and now the Labour Party. However, one of the major hurdles political parties must surmount is the senatorial districts, where the parties will pick their governorship candidates from, especially in the face of agitations by the Edo Central Senatorial District that it is their turn to produce Obaseki's successor, as the other two zones have occupied the #1 seat of power. To share his perspective on this race, we're now being joined by public affairs analyst, Professor Ikechukwu. It's good to have you on Arise News.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here too.
Okay, so let's get straight into it. Considering the INEC timetable for Edo 2024 and elections, and foreseeing the dynamics shaping up for the major political parties, we're seeing the absence of a formal rotational agreement among the ethnic groups, and it's beginning to raise questions about fairness. Now, the Edo Central Senatorial District is expressing a very strong sentiment for producing Obaseki's successor. What is your take on the sentiment for this rotational governance in Edo State, and how might it impact the political climate as they head into the primaries?
I can understand the political sentiment. It's a common thing in Nigeria. We see it in the presidency. But my question would be, was that sentiment not very strong a few months ago, or about a year ago, concerning PDP? Was that sentiment not very strong when a lot of people were saying that, look, it ought to be the Southeast that will produce the presidency, and that if it's not zoned to the Southeast, that it will not work? Well, it has worked. So my honest view is that for Edo State, it might be difficult to sustain that argument, justified as it may seem, and that their business should be to seek equity, get a very good candidate who will probably take his deputy from Central, if that's to be the issue, and get on with it. So yes, the sentiment is strong. Sustaining it is another matter. And to sustain it, it will be determined by the type of candidate you put forward, because there are candidates who, when they come out, even those with pro-regional or pro-senatorial district sentiments may say, well, this man or this woman, his credentials are so much that I would rather have him as my governor than go along with those who are saying he must come from our village or our town or our cousins. So that may not be an overriding consideration, quite frankly. And I think Edo State politics is old enough to rise beyond that. What then will be the determining factor is for the parties, particularly the three parties who can be said to be serious about it, to determine the quality, caliber, exposure, profile, and credibility of the candidates they put forward. That is likely to swing it more than the arguments about senatorial zoning, with all due respect to those who hold that view. Yeah.
Very good, Professor Ikechukwu. And I'm glad you mentioned, issues regarding the caliber of the candidate, as it were. So let's focus a little bit about beyond the zonal sentiments here. The Edo State Deputy Governor Philip Shuaibu recently said that series of intimidation he went through only made him stronger in his bid to become the next governor. Now, I'd like you to highlight the implication of this comment.
Oh, that despite the implications are fairly simple and straightforward. He's a man who has said, I refuse to bow, to the extent that I believe in something, I believe I'm capable of something, I believe I deserve something. Now, whether his belief will translate into reality will depend on what he's bringing into the fighting arena. So as they say, it's not the size of the man in a fight that matters, but the size of the fight and the man. It's a statement. It may be born of sentiments, it may be evidence-based, but for me, there's no ground for me to take one position or the other. What I would rather say is, Shuaibu has said something, let him prove it in the arena.
Okay, still staying on the deputy governor, of course, Mr. Philip Shaibu. We do know that on multiple occasions he has mentioned this resurgence of godfatherism in Edo politics, but he has expressed his confidence in the organic support that he enjoys. How do you assess the significance of this organic support in the context of Edo State's politics, especially considering his alleged influence of godfatherism? And also, with the rise of the Labour Party as a contender, how might this impact the existing political dynamics between the PDP and APC in Edo State?
First, the godfatherism cannot be ruled out in politics, and particularly in Edo State. But you'll also agree with me that that dimension of national politics is progressively taking the back seat. So anybody who relies exclusively on being godfathered into power may lose it. Also, anybody who overrates himself and assumes he can get whatever he wants without paying attention to the power centers and power blocks and power brokers in the state will be making a mistake. So we leave that aspect of it at that. And now, concerning the other parties, the most essential point to make is that between Labour, PDP, and APC, the question they must ask is, what type of candidate can we bring out whose profile, personal history, performance, and credibility will override all other considerations? And I'll take them one at a time, beginning with the, with the PDP candidate. The PDP candidate, you can see from his own record and profile, is quite a man in his own right. He's been in industry and all the rest of it. But beyond all of that, are there challenges of perception? I say yes. There's a suspicion, suggestion, and insistence in some quarters that he is not just sponsored by this governor, but that in fact him becoming governor would be like the current governor running a third term. Whether that is true or not is another matter. Then you move on to, was it Labour Party, Ighodalo? Yeah, excellent credentials. He's actually been the first non-senior advocate to be president of the Nigerian Bar Association. All of that is good, but three questions. Question number one, has the Labour Party really become a party? Let's not deny the fact that he got a lot of endorsement during the presidential elections, the last one. But was that election because of the party or because of the presidential candidate of the party? If it's because of the presidential candidate, which I know it was, can we then say that Labour has actually gone around to build a party that can take on an election? I know Ighodalo, brilliant fellow, excellent lawyer. Is he really grounded? Are his legs on the ground? Can he manage the dynamics of power politics in Edo State? Those are questions to ask. Then you come to Agba, the APC candidate. To begin with, his major advantage is that if the APC wants to win the election, they must know that the man is from Edo North. And if Edo North has a lot to say about the number of votes you get. In addition to locational issues, go and look at his credentials as well. So if you ask me, the person other candidates will be trying to beat, both at the level of personal capacity, international exposure, credibility, and profile, will be the APC candidate. For several reasons, I need not enumerate all of them. But consider that this man was on an international job with Chevron and left it and came to serve as commissioner in his state. For me, I would read it to mean that, look, this man is interested in service, to serve as commissioner, not as governor, not as federal minister. And then, while he was there and after he left there, how has he been? Has he changed? Has he become the typical Nigerian politician? The answer is no. So, quite frankly, looking objectively at all the candidates and all the variables on the table as we walk towards the next election in Edo State, the person everybody would want to beat is the APC candidate. But that's if indeed Agba comes out as the candidate of the APC. He, I believe, will give them a far better chance of winning the governorship in the next election.
Very good, Professor Ikechukwu. Still looking at Dr. Ernest Afolabi Umakie. He's a leading aspirant of the APC. Do you think the party has done enough to leverage on the ordeal Edo residents had to go through due to the strained relations between the governor and his deputy some months back?
Well, I don't know what else they can do to leverage. Let's also remember that Edo State has as its capital Benin City. And I'm not sure at any point in history where Edo people have been known to be walking like chickens. It's always been a volatile environment where people assert their manhood and their presence and their independence. And that mutual assertion does not lead to killing or anything. It's a matter of, okay, if you've proven you can take this space, I will allow you, but I'll be preparing for the next battle. So and also the contest or combat or disagreement or friction between the governor and his deputy is not new. It's in many states. The late Akredolu, you remember his case with it. So it is not anything. And I don't see what anybody will need to leverage. That's also the mistake we sometimes make in politics. If two people are quarreling from one party, another party spends all its time pointing out what they're doing wrong, giving press releases, oh, look at them, they are quarreling, instead of trying to build their own party. I mean, if, for instance, you look at the opposition today, PDP and Labour are alleged to be the opposition. I say alleged because, in my view, and I may be mistaken, I don't think they understand the meaning of political opposition. Press release because the APC has done something wrong. Oh, we don't like, of course we don't like it, but what alternative policies are you putting on the table? If you don't know how to do opposition, go and do expo. Go and find out how Chief Obafemi Awolowo carried out political opposition. Go and find out what Sir Ahmadu Bello did as the opposition. How he said, look, let's note our differences while working together. So put all of that together. What are they going to leverage? To say, oh, that the governor and his deputy have been quarreling. Has that led to the state not being governed? Are there not governors of other contending parties who also have the same problem? So let's take the matter a little more seriously and not focus, okay, fine. You have a man who is your teacher in school, and you learn that he fought with his wife the night before. And after talking about it in the class, you must go and read your books. So as for leveraging on that disagreement or whatever, I think the other parties should become more serious and find something useful to do if they truly believe they are an opposition party, with all due respect to those concerned.
Very good, Professor. Now, finally, what should be the main talking cues for the primaries based on the current needs of the Edo State people, you think?
First of all, a governor with capacity. Education, not just academic education, but somebody who has gone to school, who has, in his area of work, shown hands-on engagement in a kind of task or profession for which results are demanded and which have key performance indicators for success. That's number one. Number two, political realism. This person, what type of personality does he have? Over time, has he shown a good ability to relate well to people, to know how to make concessions, to make negotiations without deviating from the right principles? Thirdly, with all the qualifications and the ability to negotiate and make peace, can he secure the votes? If the answer is yes, how is he going to secure the votes? On his own personal credibility or on the geography of his origin in addition to personal credibility? And here we work with a little sense of history. Peter Obi got all the votes he got in Edo State, not because of his state of origin, but because of personal capacity as perceived by the people of Edo State. Now, you come as it is now in Edo, it is Edo State elections. Which of the candidates can be geographically identified to have an advantage in terms of locational, leverage in population? Edo North will seem to have it, in my view. Then, is there any candidate from Edo North? The answer is yes. Is there proof of capacity from him? The answer is yes. So that's why you noted, I said earlier, for me, looking at the whole matter objectively, I see a reading. That's why I said there's one candidate to worry about, to beat, and that the APC, if it wants that election, it should begin to look in that direction. But over and above all of that, it's important to get the people of Central to understand how their interests will be protected, not who will go there, whether it's their cousin or their brother or not. Because look at Anambra State. There was no zoning. Peter Obi said, look, let's move it around. Let somebody from X part of the state become governor. There was no such consensus, but it began to catch public consciousness, and where Soludo is from, Nigeria, he was talking about. But before then, remember also before then, Osita Chidoka had contested for governorship from a section they said, oh no, he shouldn't produce the governorship. Did Osita get some votes? Yes. And I believe if he had come back in the last election of 5 years ago in Anambra, that first attempt would have preferred him and he probably would have become governor. So my take is that this is probably an opportunity for the principal actors, for the power centers, for the people of Edo State as a whole, to redefine their interest in favor of development, in favor of what you call good governance and effective service delivery. Because they must ask themselves today, yes, my cousin is a senator, I know the Speaker of the House, we have House of Assembly representatives, is that affecting your lives? They were given 170 billion to share as relief following the fuel price hike as palliative. It is set, I think, 149 million per person. Did they bring it home to share with you because they are your brothers or your senator in the same senatorial district? They were given vehicles of 160 million apiece. Did any of them sell it and say, no, 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 let me go and give the money to my people in Edo State? Those are the things to think about. So that you consider your welfare, service delivery, effective representation, ability to make Edo State part of the modern world by people who have worked in the modern world and come back to help develop your state. Not all the debate and argument about zoning. Zoning has its value. But from the national level, fine. Zone to the southeast. They say, no, no, no. Muslim. All those, paradigms have suffered shipwreck in the last 1 year. And the question is, if Nigeria is very well governed today, if we're all having a good time, if the economy is stable and the national currency is doing well, will anybody be talking about zoning, about whether you're from the north or middle belt? The answer is no. So Edo should use the coming election to set new paradigms of citizen perception of what they need or who they need as a good leader, rather than allow themselves to be tied to the same thing that's holding all of us back all over the country. I think that's my take on that.
All right, then thank you so much, Public Affairs Analyst Professor Ikechukwu. We appreciate your time and analysis today on Newsday.